Hello, welcome to Living and Learning. I'm Allison Kinnear, and every Wednesday at 3 p.m. I hop onto Facebook Live and just do a little short video about living and learning. For the month of August, I am talking about listening. And last week I was on vacation, but the week before we talked about how we can listen to ourselves. And because when it comes to listening, the more we can do it with ourselves, the more we can do it with others. This week we are going to talk about a profound lesson that I know has impacted my life significantly, which is how we can listen to suffering. So let's break that down a little bit. Suffering comes to us because we are humans and we are bound to experience some kind of grief, some kind of fear, some kind of loss, some kind of betrayal or hurt or pain. It comes to us with injuries. We have a back injury. It comes to us in losing a job or losing a person. It comes to us in having someone lie to us or betray us in some respect. It comes to us in so many different ways. And so feeling into our pain and feeling into our suffering is just part of the human experience. And yet it is one of the things that we as humans also really hate doing because it is so incredibly uncomfortable. And so we want to kind of shield ourselves from it. We want to block ourselves from the discomfort that comes from being in our own pain, being in our own grief or fear, whatever that shape that suffering takes. And I wanted to share a very powerful, I don't know if it's a direct quote, but it is a powerful lesson that I learned several years ago, and I got it from this amazing series of audio from Tiknot Han called Body and Mind Are One. Tiknot Han, for those who you may not know, he's a Vietnamese monk, Buddhist monk, and he is a teacher. He's written many, many books, and this series of audio is just incredibly powerful. It talks about, it's basically like a several-day workshop experience. I don't know if you can associate Thich Nhat Hanh with workshops, but anyway, it's his teachings and it's hours and hours and it's amazing. And in that he talks about the human experience of suffering and what we as humans tend to do is we tend to add on to our suffering through worry, through telling ourselves stories about what the pain might mean. You know, we hurt our back and then we start going down a road of saying, oh gosh, I might lose my job. And if I lose my job, then I might lose my house. And we can get ourselves into a lot of stories around what that pain and what that suffering means. And what Thich Nhat Hanh says is when we do that, we actually add to our suffering. When we are suffering, when we are in pain, when we are in grief, we must be in that space of where the suffering is enough. That we shouldn't add to our suffering by adding worry, by adding fear, by adding our stories to what it might mean. That our job is really to just be with the pain, to be with the suffering that just is. So when I have learned that I used to be really great at catastrophizing things. If something went wrong, then I would immediately say, okay, well, this didn't turn out right, and so then this must be happening, and then that must be happening, and then this big, terrible, horrible thing must be happening. And then I go into that catastrophizing thinking that it's going to protect me, that by imagining the worst case scenario, it's going to protect me from whatever terrible things might come on the other side of it. But actually what it does is it amplifies the pain. It amplifies the suffering instead of just being with the emotions that might be there. The fear, the discomfort, the unrest, the unknown. Oftentimes, I think about in the workplace, we can get into gossiping, we can get into making up meaning about what dynamics are at play. And that's often just because we're uncomfortable with the unknown. We're uncomfortable with not knowing that there might be some fear underneath it all. And instead of just being with the fear of not knowing, we tend to make up stories. We tend to find ways to try to make sense of it all. But what that ends up doing is not just, especially when we gossip, it doesn't just inflate the pain and the suffering for us, it inflates that pain and suffering for others. So the lesson of the day is, if you're going through something hard, if you're facing some kind of difficulty, if you're facing fear or loss, we all want to get to the other side of that. We all want to get to the solution part of that. We all want to get to the, okay, let's do something about this side. We all want to get to that clarity. However, the best way, the fastest way, the healthiest way is to be with the suffering and the pain that comes with the fear, with the grief, with the anger, with the unknown, and not get into stories about what that might mean. Not go down the what if trail, not go down the worst case scenario trail. Because when we can do that, we can feel into our pain, when we can feel into our suffering, then what happens is our emotional mind, our brain that's in the back that has our emotions, our emotions go from being way up here to settling down, and our prefrontal cortex can get back online. And we can do the great thinking that is required when we're in really painful situations. So that's what I leave you with. We have to listen to our suffering. It's there for a reason. When we feel it, we can heal it. I encourage you this week, as time moves on, should any uncomfortableness arise in your life, which it might, or you might already be there, just to breathe into it, to name it, to feel it, and if you find yourself imagining what it all means, imagining different scenarios, to interrupt that pattern and go back to the feeling. It will settle down. Thank you so much to the 5 people who are tuned in. I can see that you're there. I just can't see who it is. Oh, wait, I think that little dot there is Michelle. Is that MJ? Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me. I'll be here every week, and next week we are also going to talk about listening, but instead of focusing on ourselves, we are going to be talking about listening to others. I wish you a wonderful week of living and learning, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.